I am so delighted and excited to bring you this Happy Stuff and Fluff special. Now, you know, if you've been with me for any length of time, my tagline to this channel is getting happy, that we are getting happy, living longer and growing younger. And today I wanted to bring to you this fascinating interview, and it's all about the living longer and growing younger, which of course is going to make us happy. At least it's going to make me happy. So yes, it's an interview with Professor Vera Gorbanova and Alan Graves, who is the CEO of the Do Not Age company. Now, this is not a sponsored video. It is not paid promotion. I'm actually thinking about it, Do Not Age. It probably should have been, but it isn't. I want to bring this to you. You know, the supplements that I take are to that end, to help me. I was going to say us, because Mr. Kitchen does this too, but to help me to live longer but be healthy. That's what I want. Really, I talk about 100, a little bit tongue in cheek. Really, however long I live, I want to live healthily. In fact, one of my subjects when I do some public speaking is called Happy Healthy Dead, because that's what I think we would all like. That's what I think we would all like, and I genuinely believe it is happening. Now, I trust Do Not Age because they plough a lot of their profits back into research, as you'll hear in this interview, and I genuinely think they are an honest company with with morals behind the company, as they want that for us, as many people as possible, to live a long and healthy lifespan. Okay, so this interview then with Professor Vera Gorbanova, she's actually a leading expert in longevity, and she's on the research board for Do Not Age. Now, she's talking about something called Sirtuin 6. She talks about other things, but she's talking about Sirtuin 6. Now, I first came across this term from David Sinclair. I've talked about his book many times, and I do believe David Sinclair takes Sirtuin 6. Now, so I have been aware of it, but I don't think there's been an awful lot of science, certainly not in terms of human trials, which is what Professor Gorbanova was talking about here, which is why it's so exciting. Okay, I'm going to stop talking. I'm going to let you watch the interview. Make notes, and if you have any questions to ask after the interview, leave them in the comments box. And if I don't know the answers, I'll find out. Okay, watch the interview. You'll really enjoy it. It's fascinating.
Okay, Vera, let's dive in. Thank you, first of all, for taking the time to sit down with us and answer some questions. I know you're obviously very busy. We don't want you doing lots of interviews because you're busy in the lab, which is exactly where you should be. But yeah, thank you very much for taking this time.
Well, my pleasure.
Okay, first question. How long have you worked within the field of aging research and longevity, and which areas do you specialize in?
Well, I've been in the field for more than 20 years. It's even scary to think how many exactly. But since I completed my PhD, I started researching in the field of longevity. I specialized in several areas. I started in the field of senescence, and then genome stability, DNA repair. I started working on sirtuins. It was sort of serendipitous transition from DNA repair when we found that Sirtuin 6 plays a very important role there. And comparative biology, where we study animals that are naturally long-lived, and with the goal of understanding the mechanisms and then translating it to human health.
Excellent. Your favorite animal is the naked mole rat, is that right?
Well, one of my favorite animals, naked mole rat, but lately we've been working with other long-lived animals, including the bowhead whale, which is the longest-lived mammal on Earth.
Nice. Very good. Well, I'm sure we'll get into that shortly. Which supplements do you take personally to promote healthy aging?
Well, I'm taking Fuken, the Sirtuin 6 activator, And I'm taking ginseng because I think there is a lot of traditional medicine that backs it up. And then for the most part, I'm just trying to follow healthy diet recommendations.
Excellent. Good stuff. What do you enjoy most about working with DIOorg?
Well, I think you are good people, so I enjoy that. And transparency and staying up to date with current research. So I think this is a good example. And of course, I enjoy working together in our effort to set up clinical trial for fuken in healthy people.
Exactly. How valuable has DIOorg been in supporting your trials and your work?
No, you've been great. We've been having some hurdles, but I hope we'll overcome it together.
Yes, exactly. Some of the human trials are taking longer than expected, and we've had a few, like you say, hurdles along the way, bumps in the road in terms of getting them done. It's much more difficult to get a human trial done than it is a mouse trial, for example.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to do it right. We want to have a placebo-controlled, randomized trial. And of course, regulatory process takes time, but we'll get there.
Very much time. And I'm so impatient as well. So
Yeah, this is one point. Yeah, being impatient, but I understand you. But right, science very often takes longer than we would like. And that's part of biomedical science, that things are not as quick.
Exactly. So speaking of my impatience, when is the mouse trial for Cert6 going to be published?
Well, I very much hope that we'll publish it before the end of this year. Again, I'm as impatient on this one. We had the result, which is the most important result. We see lifespan extension with the supplement. We see improvement in frailty in score, improvement in methylation clock. But again, we want to do it right. And there was still some controls. There are still some little gaps we are trying to fill in the story. But I think we are getting very close, already finalizing the figures. And I hope it to be published. Well, we hope to submit it next month, but it takes time for the paper. It needs to be peer reviewed. But we'll post it on bioRxiv, which means like once we have it ready, so we'll post it and people could access it. And then, peer review can take longer.
Yes, and as soon as it's posted, we will email out to all of our members so they can have a look as well for themselves. Okay. Most people use products that contain hyaluronic acid in a topical form. What are the main benefits of taking it in an oral form based on your studies?
Well, so we didn't, I have to be honest here, because we didn't test oral administration in our laboratory. But there is evidence that there are benefits of taking oral hyaluronic acid, mostly for joint inflammation. I would like to test it ourselves, so then I could really talk about what our experience with it has been. What we have done in the lab, we generated mice that produced higher levels endogenously of hyaluronic acid. And in this case, we saw lower levels of inflammation. That was the main benefit. And also there was extension of lifespan in these mice.
Excellent, good stuff. Yeah, I think there are studies out there showing that oral supplementation does work, and I think most of those studies were done on wrinkles, and it did help to iron out those wrinkles. So that's a good thing. But I'd be happy to do a human trial with our high molecular weight hyaluronic acid and see if we can't get some other data points as well.
Yes, that would be great. I think ultimate test for everything is a clinical trial, then you can say, because especially if it is placebo controlled, or even if it is not, but to have human data that is well controlled. Yeah, that would be, that's important.
Yes, there are lots of companies and organizations that wanted to work with you. So what made you decide to join DIOorg?
Well, I think that was a journey for both of us when we started working together early on, when we were exploring Sirtuin 6 activators, and I think it turned out to be a very good collaboration between us.
I agree. And I think we both had the same aims, and we both had the same sort of moral value of we need to bring this to people, but we also need to further the science at the same time. And so it's kind of like it's an ever evolving science of longevity. So I think we work together well like that.
Yes, exactly. That was the part I really enjoyed, that you were interested in supporting first our mouse trial and now the human trial, not just selling the supplement, but actually testing it, seeing whether it works or not. And at that point, we didn't know. We had in vitro data that it activates SIRT6, but when we started working together, we didn't know if it will help the mice. But then we were just very fortunate that it did, and I think that gave both of us, yes, more confidence.
Okay. So, what is a sirtuin, and what role do they play in the aging process?
Sirtuins, so there are 7 sirtuins, and we are primarily focusing on sirtuin number 6. And like, say, why 6? So some time ago, we tested all of sirtuins for their potential in activating genome stability or main repair of DNA. And Sirtuin 6 was the only one that was a very strong promoter of DNA repair. So we started focusing more on it. And then also Sirtuin 6 has the strongest longevity-related phenotypes. If you overexpress it in mice, they live longer. This hasn't been observed for other sirtuins, or at least not to the same extent. So sirtuin is an enzyme. It is mainly located in the nucleus of the cell, and it helps arrange DNA, chromatin in it. It also helps silence regions of the DNA that need to be silenced, like some junk DNA, transposons that are parasites within our genome. It also helps keep certain genes active, especially genes involved in dealing with stress. So it's a chromatin factor. And when we get older, our chromatin organization starts to deteriorate, like everything. So here, some extra boost of Sirtuin 6 can actually reverse this process. And that's where it becomes important for longevity.
Excellent answer. Thank you. How do you ensure that SIRT6 activator actually activates Sirtuin 6?
Yes, so we developed in vitro assays for that. We have purified Sirtuin 6 protein, and it has several enzymatic activities that we can measure. One activity that is, the most commonly known is deacetylation. So we can give it a substrate protein, usually a histone, which is like this unit of chromatin where DNA is wrapped around the histone. And Sirtuin 6 can remove acetyl group from it, so we can measure that. But Sirtuin 6 has another activity, which is called mono-ADP ribosylation, where it removes a ribose group from proteins. And we found that in human centenarians, or people who live more than 100, this second activity is enhanced. Not the first one, but the second. Our group is one of the few that can measure this activity because we developed our own in vitro assays for measuring it. So we again take our purified Sirtuin 6, we give it a substrate that can measure ribosylation or addition of this ribose group to proteins, and then we can quantify it. So we measure how much ribose was added without fucoidan, and then we add fucoidan, and then we measure it again, and we see if there was an increase. That means it's a good activator. We can always see no change, which means it doesn't do anything, or we can see it actually makes it worse. So some chemicals can make it worse. So this is our test. And we applied this test to fucoidan, and then also to fucoidan, whatever we put in the mouse trial, and fucoidan that will be used in clinical trials as well.
Yes, excellent. And I think the thing to make clear just to people here is, you know, the reason we don't just have normal fucoidan is because, as you said, some fucoidans will you know, not do anything to Sirt6, and sometimes it will activate Sirt6 very strongly. And so that's why we send it to you for testing first before we turn it into a product for the consumer and before we send it into the clinical trials.
Right. So that's an important point, because fucoidan is not a simple molecule where you would say, well, as long as you have the purity, it should work. It's produced by algae, by the plant. The formula, it contains of monomers of fucose sugar, which may be interspersed with the galactose or other sugars. It can also be sulfated on certain residues. It can be linear or branched. So even though all of this family of molecules is called fucoidan, but they differ from one another, and it's not very easy to control what you get. So the best way is to just test it after it's been extracted from the algae.
Exactly, and you guys do a great job of that, so thank you. Okay, in your opinion, what are the main benefits of activating Sirtuin 6, both short and long term?
Well, I can talk about what we saw in the mouse trial. Well, I wish we'll have the human data. I hope we'll have it soon, and then we can more confidently talk about human benefit. But for the mice, what we observed was reduction in overall frailty. So that would be, quite generalized effect. Maybe more energy that these mice had. Also, the coat condition was improved. And for people who have domestic animals like cats or dogs, you know that their coat condition means a lot. Just when the animal is healthy, it has nice, shiny coat that reflects multiple physiological processes. And that's what we saw for mice that were taking fucoidan. So their coat condition was much better, which may be a little bit difficult to kind of pinpoint exactly, but it's like very generalized health. Then immune system. So we saw a much better immune function and lower inflammation, which is super important for aging because inflammatory processes really flare up as we get older. So these were kind of sort of phenotypic benefits that we saw. We also saw reduction of methylation clock age in these mice, and generally longer lifespan.
Well, you can't ask for better than that. So excellent. Thank you very much. Main complications in human studies, we've covered that. So I'll move on to the next one, which is, what studies have you got planned for the future?
Well, first of all, the clinical trial. Then, what we are planning for the future with fucoidan, we would like to identify the functional unit of it, because as I said, well, it's a complex molecule, and of course we can test it, but we would like to know what is the minimal functional unit of fucoidan. We know this is not fucose. We have tested it, and just fucose alone doesn't activate Sirtuin 6. There doesn't seem to be much benefit of it either. So it is a more complex molecule, and we want to find what it is, and that could potentially make a more potent product.
Excellent. Okay. Do you think one day we will solve aging completely?
Well, I guess it depends what you define as completely.
It's a bit of a fun one, this one.
Yes, in terms of achieving immortality, I don't know whether it is possible or desirable. But I think what we will eventually achieve is to provide people much better experience and much better health. So people could stay healthy for most of their life and stay active. Whatever that lifespan will be, I think people can live into the hundreds, 110, 120 that's been achieved, but by very few. So I see my goal in making this age achievable for anyone. So anyone could at least maximize their potential, live to 120 and staying active. And then we will see, do we want to live longer than that? Well, maybe yes, maybe with new advances in research would be able to extend the human lifespan even further. But at least for now, my goal is 220 in great health.
Good. Well, you're taking Sirtuin's activator, so you've got a great chance of getting there. That's everything on my questions. Have you got anything else you'd like to share or like to say?
Well, I don't know. It's been quite a journey, and I guess I'm looking forward to future discoveries and ways how we could translate those discoveries into people's health.
Couldn't agree more. That's a fantastic way to end. Thank you, Vera.
So what did you think about that? Don't you think it's just exciting? And Professor Gorbanova actually talks about living to 120, which would make me then, at this moment in time, at the age of 66, middle-aged. Oh, what a joy. But I do think it's exciting, and it sounds like we're on the way, doesn't it? So waiting for research coming in, and you heard what she said about how long it takes for these things to happen, for papers to be peer-reviewed and so on. But she's going to release the results when they come out straight away so that we'll get those. And as soon as I get any information, then I will certainly let you have it too. I think what's exciting about it is certainly in terms of the benefits of taking Sirtuin 6 as a supplement, is the lowering of inflammation, because we know that inflammation is the root cause of so much human illness and suffering. So that's something that I'm really excited about. And it also improves metabolism, all kinds of things, all kinds of benefits in terms of staying healthy, but of course also living longer. I just think it's amazing. So being able to stay healthy, as I said earlier, no matter what your lifespan, happy, healthy, dead is something for us all to aim for, I think. It was interesting to hear her talk about her own supplements too. I just think it's fantastic, and for them to be doing these human trials and to be working, or for Do Not Age to be working in conjunction with this researcher in this, I think it's the way to go. This is the way to go, and that's why you'll see my supplements down below, which all come from Do Not Age now, and I will be doing a review of them, of my supplements, and especially, of course, after reading whatever comes out from this trial, I'll certainly be looking more seriously at taking Sirtuin 6. I'll let you know about that. So tell me in the comments box if anything should ignite you to pick up, as I say, to pick up pen, to start typing in the comments box. This is just amazing. I suppose my question for you would be, if you knew that you could be healthy and fit, would you want to live to be 120 years old? Tell me in the comments box below. Okay, yes, you can tell I'm excited. I'm going to stop talking now. We'll wait for the information to come out and we'll do another video. Okay, let me know what you think, please. And I'll see you next time. And until then, remember that on the Happy Stuff and Fluff, we're getting happy, living longer and growing younger. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.